Question document examination is a term for a forensic science discipline pertaining to documents that are potentially disputed in a court of law. Its primary purpose is to provide evidence about a suspicious or questionable document using scientific processes and methods. Evidence might include alterations, the chain of possession, damage to the document, forgery, origin, authenticity, or other questions that come up when a document is challenged in court. Overviews. Many QD examinations involve a comparison of the questioned document, or components of the document, to a set of known standards. The most common type of examination involves handwriting, wherein the examiner tries to address concerns about potential authorship. A document examiner is often asked to determine if a questioned item originated from the same source as the known item, then present their opinion on the matter in court as an expert witness. Other common tasks include determining what has happened to a document, determining when a document was produced, or deciphering information on the document that has been obscured, obliterated, or erased. The discipline is known by many names, including forensic document examination, diplomatics, handwriting examination, or sometimes handwriting analysis, although the latter term is not often used as it may be confused with graphology. Likewise, a forensic document examiner is not to be confused with a graphologist, and vice versa. Many FDEs receive extensive training in all of the aspects of the discipline. As a result, they are competent to address a wide variety of questions about document evidence. However, this broad specialization approach has not been universally adopted. In some locales, a clear distinction is made between the terms forensic document examiner and a forensic handwriting expert examiner. In such cases, the former term refers to examiners who focus on non-handwriting examination types, while the latter refers to those trained exclusively to do handwriting examinations. Even in places where the more general meaning is common, such as North America or Australia, there are many individuals who have specialized training only in relatively limited areas. As the terminology varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, it is important to clarify the meaning of the title used by any individual professing to be a forensic document examiner. Scope of document examination. A forensic document examiner is intimately linked to the legal system as a forensic scientist. Forensic science is the application of science to address issues under consideration in the legal system. FDEs examine items that form part of a case that may or may not come before a court of law. Common criminal charges involved in a document examination case fall into the white-collar crime category. These include identity theft, forgery, counterfeiting, fraud, or uttering a forged document. Questioned documents are often important in other contexts simply because documents are used in so many contexts and for so many purposes. For example, a person may commit a murder and forge a suicide note. This is an example where a document is produced directly as a fundamental part of a crime. More often, a questioned document is simply the byproduct of normal day-to-day business or personal activities. The American Society for Testing and Materials International publishes standards for many methods and procedures used by FDEs. E30.02 was the ASTM subcommittee for questioned documents. These guides were under the jurisdiction of ASTM Committee E30 on Forensic Sciences and the direct responsibility of Subcommittee E30.02 on questioned documents. The ASTM question documents section has been disbanded. All of the standards are now available through SWGDOC. The Standard Guide for Scope of Work of Forensic Document Examiners indicates there are 4 components to the work of a forensic document examiner. It states that an examiner makes scientific examinations, comparisons, and analyses of documents to establish genuineness and non-genuineness, or to expose forgery, or to reveal alterations, additions or deletions, identify or eliminate persons as the source of handwriting, identify or eliminate the source of typewriting or other impression marks, or relative evidence, and write reports or give testimony, when needed, to aid the users of the examiner's services in understanding the examiner's findings. Some FDEs limit their work to the examination and comparison of handwriting. Most inspect and examine the whole document in accordance with this ASTM standard. Types of document. Examined documents feature prominently in all manner of business and personal affairs. Almost any type of document may become disputed in an investigation or litigation. For example, a question document may be a sheet of paper bearing handwriting, a mechanically produced text such as a ransom note, a forged check, or a business contract. It may be material not normally thought of as a document. FDEs define the word document in a very broad sense as being any material bearing marks, signs, or symbols intended to convey a message or meaning to someone. This encompasses traditional paper documents but also includes things like graffiti on a wall, stamp impressions on meat products, or covered markings hidden in a written letter, among others. Historical cases. The National Archives forgeries, the Killian memos, the Clone Martha Stewart trial, the Yellow Cake forgery, the Nina Wang case of the Teddy Wang wills, the anthrax attack mailings on the U.S. Senate, the John Bennett Ramsey murder, the Paul Jennings Hill murders, the Hitler diaries printed by the magazine Stern and determined to be forgeries, the Mark Hoffman forgeries and murders, the Mormon will that Melvin Dahmer claimed left him part of Howard Hughes' fortune, the Clifford Irving claimed that Howard Hughes authorized his biography, the Zodiac killer, the Lindbergh kidnapping where comparison of the ransom note and Bruno Hauptmann's handwriting was crucial, the Adolf Beck cases where handwriting expert Thomas H. Guerin repeated an erroneous identification, the James Rivers land swindle trial about forged documents involved in a Spanish barony and land grant, the Dreyfus affair, although professional comparisons exonerating Dreyfus were ignored, the Howland will forgery trial, although the crimes were committed before the discipline of document examination was firmly established. The letters of the Jack the Ripper case have since been examined in great detail. Candidacy. A person who desires to enter a career of forensic document examination must possess certain traits and abilities. The ASTM Standard E238805 lists several requirements for the trainee candidate. First and foremost, an earned baccalaureate degree or equivalent from an accredited college or university is required, as it gives the aspirant a scientific background with which to approach the work in an objective manner, as well as bestowing necessary biological, physical, and chemical knowledge sometimes called upon in the work. Second, excellent eyesight is required to see fine details that are otherwise inconspicuous. To this end, the aspirant must successfully complete a form discrimination test to ensure that the aspirant is able to tell apart two similar appearing yet different items, a color perception test, and near and distant visual acuity tests with best corrected vision within 6 months prior to commencement of training. Beyond the above, additional desirable skills include knowledge of paper, ink, printing processes, or handwriting. Training. There are three possible methods of instruction for an aspiring document examiner. Self-education is the way the pioneers of the field began, as there was no other method of instruction. Apprenticeship has become the widespread way many examiners are now taught. This is the method that is recommended by ESDM in Standard E238805. To conform with the ESDM standards, such training shall be the equivalent of a minimum of 24 months full-time training under the supervision of a principal trainer, and the training program shall be successfully completed in a period not to exceed 4 years. The training program must also include an extensive list of specific syllabus topics outlined in ESDM Standard E238805. College and university programs are very limited. This is due, in part, to the relatively limited demand for forensic document examiners. It also relates to the need for extensive practical experience, particularly with respect to handwriting examination. It is difficult to include this degree of practical experience in a normal academic program. There are some distanced learning courses available as well. These are taught through a virtual reality classroom and may include an apprenticeship program, a correspondence course, or both. A trainee must learn how to present evidence before the court in clear, forceful testimony. Fledgling examiners in the later stages of training can get a glimpse into the legal process, as well as a better sense of this aspect of the work, through participation in a mock trial or by attending court hearings to observe the testimony of qualified examiners. These are guidelines and not requirements. Examination types. Examinations and comparisons conducted by document examiners can be diverse and may involve any of the following: handwriting and signatures, typewriters, photocopiers, laser printers, inkjet printers, fax machines, check writers, rubber stamps, price markers, label makers, printing processes, ink, pencil, paper, alterations, additions, erasures, obliterations, indentation detection and/or decipherment, sequence determination, physical matching, principle of identification. The concept of identification, as it is applied in the forensic sciences, is open to discussion and debate. Nonetheless, the traditional approach in the discipline of forensic document examination is best expressed as follows: when any two items possess a combination of independent discriminating elements that are similar and/or correspond in the relationships to one another, of such number and significance as to preclude the possibility of their occurrence by pure coincidence, and there are no inexplicable disparities, it may be concluded that they are the same in nature or are related to a common source. The evaluation of such characteristics is now predominantly subjective, though efforts to meaningfully quantify this type of information are ongoing. Subjective evaluation does not mean that the results of properly conducted comparisons will be unreliable or inaccurate. To the contrary, scientific testing has shown that professional document examiners outperform lay people when comparing handwriting or signatures to assess authorship. However, this type of subjective analysis depends greatly upon the competency of an individual examiner. It follows that an examiner should follow appropriate case examination protocols carefully and evaluate all possible propositions. An examiner should be properly trained, and the training should include adequate testing of their abilities. The formal case examination procedure should incorporate some form of secondary review, and every examiner should make every effort to demonstrate and maintain their competency through professional certification and ongoing proficiency testing. Handwriting examinations. The examination of handwriting to assess potential authorship proceeds from the above principle of identification by applying it to a comparison of samples of handwritten material. Generally, there are three stages in the process of examination. In brief, they are: analysis, the question and the known items are analyzed and broken down to directly perceptible characteristics; comparison, the characteristics of the questioned item are then compared against the known standard; evaluation, similarities and differences in the compared properties are evaluated, and this determines which ones are valuable for a conclusion. This depends on the uniqueness and frequency of occurrence in the items. Optionally, the procedure may involve a fourth step consisting of verification, validation or peer review. ASTM has published a standard guide for the examination of handwriting titled E229007 Examination of Handwritten Items. Some of the guides listed under Other Examinations apply to forensic handwriting comparisons. An alternative guide for the examination of handwriting and signatures has been developed by the Forensic Expertise Profiling Laboratory. Other examinations. Aside from E2290 mentioned above, many standard guides pertaining to the examination of question documents have been published by ASTM International. They include the following: E44406 Scope of Work Relating to Forensic Document Examiners, E219502 Terminology, Examination of Question Documents, E1658-208 Terminology, Expressing Conclusions of Forensic Document Examiners, E1422-205 Test Methods for Forensic Writing Ink Comparison, E1789-204 Writing Ink Identification, E228503 Examination of Mechanical Checkwriter Impressions, E228603 Examination of Dry Seal Impressions, E228703 Examination of Fracture Patterns and Paper Fiber Impressions on Single-Strike Film Ribbons and Typed Text, E228803 Physical Match of Paper Cuts, Tears, and Perforations in Forensic Document Examinations, E228908 Examination of Rubber Stamp Impressions, E229103 Indentation Examinations, E232505 Non-Destructive Examination of Paper, E233104 Examination of Altered Documents, E238805 Minimum Training Requirements for Forensic Document Examiners, E238905 Examination of Documents Produced with Liquid Inkjet Technology, E239006 Examination of Documents Produced with Toner Technology, E249408 Standard Guide for Examination of Typewritten Items. Not all laboratories or examiners use the following ASTM guidelines. These are guidelines and not requirements. There are other ASTM guides of a more general nature that apply. Copies of ASTM standards can be obtained from ASTM International. Common tools of the trade: excellent eyesight, handlens, loop, stereo microscope, electrostatic detection device, video spectral comparator, professional organizations. Links are provided below. Dedicated to Question Document Examination: American Society of Question Document Examiners, USA and Canada; Australasian Society of Forensic Document Examiners Inc., Australia, Asia; Association Professional de Peritos Caligrafos de Catalunya; European Network of Forensic Handwriting Experts; European Document Experts Working Group; Southeastern Association of Forensic Document Examiners, Southeast USA; Southwestern Association of Forensic Document Examiners, Southwest USA; Gesellschaft für Forensische Schriftuntersuchung, Frankfurt; National Association of Document Examiners, Association of Forensic Document Examiners; the International Association of Document Examiners, the Scientific Association of Forensic Examiners, Sociedad Internacional de Peritos en Documentoscopia, Spain, Latin America. General Forensic Science Associations with QDE sections: American Academy of Forensic Sciences, USA, Canadian Society of Forensic Science, Canada, Australian and New Zealand Forensic Science Society, European Network of Forensic Science Institutes, Forensic Science Society, United Kingdom, International Association for Identification, Mid-Atlantic Association of Forensic Scientists, academic research groups with interest in QDE, International Graphonomics Society, Center of Excellence for Document Analysis and Recognition, Purdue Sensor and Printer Forensics Project. Certification. Due to the nature of certification, there are many bodies that provide this service. Most provide certification to individuals from a particular country or geographic area. In some places the term accreditation may be used instead of certification. Either way, in the present context, it refers to the assessment of an examiner's competency and qualifications by an independent organization of professionals. International certifying bodies: Forensic Science Society. The Forensic Science Society provides the members with the opportunity to obtain a professional postgraduate diploma in forensic disciplines, including question document examination. The program is accredited by the University of Strathclyde. Successful applicants are entitled to use the post-nominal FSSOCDIP, since membership in the FSS is open to anyone regardless of where they live or work. This is effectively an international certification. USA, Canada and Mexico. American Board of Forensic Document Examiners. The American Board of Forensic Document Examiners, Inc., provides third-party certification for professional forensic document examiners from Canada, Mexico, the United States of America as well as Australia and New Zealand. Board of Forensic Document Examiners. The Board of Forensic Document Examiners provides certification of forensic document examiners.